Hello everyone, I wish you all good health. Before we begin, we want to express our deepest gratitude for your continued support of the Jim Rohn Insights channel. Our team has poured their heart and soul into creating these high-quality videos, and we truly hope they bring practical value to your lives. If you find this content helpful, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss our latest videos. Your support is a huge motivation for us to keep growing. Are you tired of feeling like you're always busy but never getting anywhere? Do you ever look back at your day and wonder where all the time went? It's so easy to fall into the trap of wasting time without realizing it. And before you know it, another day, week, or month has passed. But here's the thing, time is the one thing we can never get back. So, if you want to stop wasting it and start winning, you've got to make a change. In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 simple but powerful ways to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress in your life. We're going to focus on the things that really matter, eliminate distractions, and help you build habits that lead to success. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment or for things to fall into place. The time to start is now. So if you're ready to take control of your time and start winning, stick with me. By the end of this video, you'll have practical steps you can take to make today the day you start moving forward. Let's dive in. 1. Start with why winning matters. Winning is about making choices that move you closer to what you want in life. It's about saying no to distractions and wasted time, and yes to what will truly make a difference. And let me tell you, this is one of the most important decisions you can make every day. We all have the same 24 hours. Time is the one thing we all have equally, and how we use it makes all the difference. You can either use your time to move forward or let it slip away with nothing to show for it. And the truth is, many people waste time without even realizing it. They get caught up in things that don't matter, things that don't help them grow or achieve what they want. But winning starts with recognizing that time matters. It's not about being busy, it's about being productive. The key is to focus on what will move you closer to your goals. And you don't have to do it all at once. Winning is about the little things you do each day. It's the habits you create and the decisions you make every single moment. You've got to ask yourself, what am I doing with my time? Are you just passing the hours, or are you using them to create something that will pay off in the future? Winning doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you've made a choice to focus on what matters, to use your time wisely, and to take action now. You might think, I don't have time for that. But the truth is, you do have time. The question is, what are you doing with it? Are you wasting time on things that don't matter, or are you investing in yourself, your goals, and your future? When you realize that every minute counts, you start making better choices. You stop letting the small distractions eat up your time. The first step to winning is simply being aware of how you're using your time. Start paying attention. Are you spending hours scrolling through social media, watching TV, or getting stuck in unimportant tasks? Those little things can add up fast. But if you decide to stop letting those things take over, you free up time for what really matters. Let me tell you, if you start investing your time wisely, even in small chunks, it's amazing how much you can accomplish. You don't need to change everything overnight, but if you're consistent, if you make small adjustments, you'll start seeing results. That's how winning works. It's the small, steady progress that leads to big rewards. Think about your own life. What's one thing you've been wanting to achieve but haven't made time for? Maybe it's getting in shape, learning a new skill, or improving your finances. Whatever it is, you can start making progress today. It doesn't take a huge effort. It just takes a decision to stop wasting time and start putting your energy into what matters. As you start winning, you'll notice something amazing happening. You'll start building momentum. Momentum is a powerful thing. Once you start seeing results, it's easier to keep going. Every small win builds on the next one, and before you know it, you're moving faster than you ever thought possible. Momentum doesn't need to be forced, it's the natural result of consistent action. But winning isn't just about seeing results. It's about feeling good about your progress. It's about looking at the time you've spent and knowing it was worth it. When you win, you build confidence. Confidence comes from doing what you say you're going to do, from making choices that align with your goals. And that confidence spills over into every part of your life. Think about this: when you feel confident, you take on challenges with a different attitude. You stop second-guessing yourself and start trusting your abilities. Confidence isn't just about feeling good about yourself, it's about knowing you can handle whatever comes your way. And when you keep winning, even in small ways, that confidence continues to grow. Winning is also about making the most of everything, every moment. Sure, we all have busy lives, but there are always pockets of time we can use. Maybe it's the 10 minutes between meetings, or the time you spend waiting for something. Those moments add up. Instead of letting them slip away, use them. Read a book, plan your day, make a phone call, or take a short walk. Use your time to make progress, no matter how small the step is. And let me tell you something, you don't have to wait for the perfect conditions to start winning. You don't need to have everything figured out or wait for the perfect opportunity. You have what you need right now. Start where you are, do what you can with what you have. Winning is about making progress, not perfection. Now, here's where things really start to shift. You have to hold yourself accountable. Winning requires discipline. It's easy to make excuses, to put things off, or to blame others for why things aren't working. But when you hold yourself accountable, you take full responsibility for your actions. You're the one in control. Accountability is a game changer. When you're accountable to yourself, you stop accepting laziness or procrastination. You get things done. You keep your promises to yourself. You stop letting distractions, fears, or doubts stand in your way. And when you take responsibility for your actions, you start to see real results. But winning doesn't just happen for yourself. It affects others, too. When you start winning, it inspires the people around you. Your family, your friends, your coworkers, they see the progress you're making and it motivates them to do the same. Success has a ripple effect. When you choose to win, you encourage others to do the same. Winning isn't about achieving some huge goal and then stopping. It's about the process, the habits, and the daily actions that lead to success. It's about the decisions you make each day that add up over time. And it's about staying consistent, no matter how small the wins are. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect. You just need to take that first step. Make today the day you stop wasting time and start moving forward. Even the smallest actions count. Take control of your time, your choices, and your life. The path to winning starts with a decision, and it's one you can make right now. Ask yourself today, what am I going to do with my time? You have the power to make today the beginning of something great. Winning is not just for a select few, it's for anyone who is willing to commit to it. And that includes you. 2. Do the important things first. If you're serious about winning in life, you've got to get good at doing the important things first. It sounds simple, but so many people don't do it. They let the small, easy tasks fill up their day, and before they know it, the big things that really matter get pushed aside. And here's the truth, if you don't take care of the important stuff, it's never going to get done. The small things will always try to take over your time, your energy, and your focus. But here's the thing, the people who win, the ones who make real progress, they understand that the key to success is getting the important things done first. And when you start doing that, you'll be amazed at how much more you can accomplish. So let's break this down. First, you've got to know what the important things are. And let me tell you, it's not always what feels easiest or most comfortable. The important things are the tasks that will move you closer to your goals. They are the things that have the most impact on your future. These are the things that, when completed, make everything else easier or unnecessary. Take a moment and think about it. What's the one thing you could do today that would make the biggest difference in your life? What's the task that will bring you closer to your dreams? Whether it's a big project at work, an important conversation you've been avoiding, or something personal you've been putting off, it's that one thing that you should focus on first. But here's what happens instead. Instead of tackling that big thing, we often get distracted by smaller, less important tasks. You know what I'm talking about. It's easy to pick up the phone and check your emails, or maybe you feel like you should respond to a few text messages. You think, I'll just take care of this first, then I'll dive into the big task. But the problem is, those little things keep piling up. And before you know it, your whole day is gone. This is where the challenge lies. It's easy to get stuck in the urgent things. These are the things that demand your attention right now, but they don't always matter in the long run. You've got to be able to tell the difference between what feels urgent and what is actually important. Urgent tasks can feel like they need your attention, but if they don't move you closer to your goals, they're just a distraction. And the longer you let them take up your time, the further away you get from what you really want. So what do? The answer is simple: do the important things first. When you wake up in the morning, make a plan for your day. Identify the tasks that will help you get closer to your goals, and make sure you tackle those first. Don't let the small things crowd them out. And here's the secret: when you focus on the important things, you feel better about your day. You feel more accomplished because you've taken care of what matters. And when you do the important things first, the smaller tasks seem to take care of themselves. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. But I have so many little things to do, and they feel like they can't wait. Look, I get it. We all have things that feel urgent. But you've got to realize that those small tasks will always be there. The real question is, what are you going to focus on that will move you forward in a meaningful way? Here's a simple trick: each day, pick one task that is going to have the biggest impact on your goals, and make sure you get it done first. It doesn't matter how big or small it seems. What matters is that it moves you forward. And when you do this consistently, you'll start to build momentum. You'll start to realize that getting the big stuff done first is the key to achieving more, faster. Think about it. When you handle the tough stuff first, the rest of the day becomes easier. The weight of that big task is lifted off your shoulders, and you can handle the smaller things with more focus and energy. It's a win-win. By the time you get to the smaller tasks, you've already accomplished something important. That gives you the confidence and energy to knock out everything else. But here's the catch: this won't always be easy. The important tasks are often the hardest ones. They take focus, effort, and sometimes even a little courage. But if you can learn to do the hard things first, you'll find that they're not as hard as you think. And once you see the results of tackling them, you'll wonder why you ever put them off in the first place. Now, let's talk about how to actually do it. How do you make sure you get the important things done first? It starts with making a plan. You've got to know what you're going to do before your day even begins. If you don't plan ahead, the small tasks will take over. So, take a few minutes each morning or the night before to plan your day. Make a list of the most important things you need to do and put them at the top. When you sit down to work, make sure you start with the top item on your list. Don't let distractions pull you away. If you need to, turn off your phone, close unnecessary tabs on your computer, and focus on the task at hand. Give yourself a set amount of time to work on the important task, and then move on to the next thing. The key is focus. When you give your full attention to the task at hand, you'll get it done faster and more efficiently. Another way to make sure you're doing the important things first is by recognizing your biggest distractions. What are the things that pull you away from your work? Is it your phone? Is it checking your email? Whatever it is, get rid of it. You've got to protect your time. Distractions are time thieves, and the more you let them in, the more they'll steal from you. And one more thing, don't be afraid to say no. People will always ask for your time, but you've got to be able to say no to things that aren't important. Don't feel guilty about it. If someone asks you to do something that doesn't align with your goals, politely say no and keep moving forward. The more you say no to distractions, the more time you'll have for the things that matter. When you start doing the important things first, something amazing happens. You start winning. You start feeling more in control of your life. you begin to realize that you can get more done in less time and you can make real progress toward your goals. And that's the ultimate reward. Here's the challenge: tomorrow morning when you wake up, make a plan for your day. Identify the most important task you need to get done, and do it first. Don't let the small things steal your time. Focus on what matters, and you'll start to see the results. Success doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you choose to do the important things first. 3. Call out everyday time wasters. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between those who win and those who don't is how they use those hours. The biggest challenge isn't necessarily having enough time, it's making sure you're not wasting it. And here's the hard truth: there are a lot of everyday time wasters that are silently stealing your time and keeping you from making progress. If you want to start winning, you've got to call them out and stop letting them rob you of your potential. So let's talk about the biggest time wasters you face every single day. They're all around you and they can be sneaky. Some of them might even seem harmless, but in reality, they're eating away at the time you should be spending on things that really matter. First up, let's talk about social media. Now, I'm not saying social media is all bad. It can be great for connecting with people, staying informed, and even learning new things. But the problem is, it's incredibly easy to get sucked into an endless cycle of scrolling. You start with one post, and before you know it, an hour has passed. The next thing you know, you've wasted half your day on something that won't get you any closer to your goals. Think about it. How many times have you picked up your phone with the intention of checking one quick notification, only to find yourself scrolling for an hour or more? It's so easy to fall into that trap. Social media is designed to keep you hooked. It's filled with notifications, updates, and posts that grab your attention and distract you from what really matters. But here's the thing: when you spend hours scrolling, you're not moving forward. You're just spinning your wheels. So, what can you do? First, be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, how much time am I really spending on social media, and how much of that time is actually helping me? If you're using social media for work, learning, or networking, great. But if you're just mindlessly scrolling, it's time to make a change. Set limits. Decide ahead of time how much time you'll spend on social media and stick to it. Put your phone away during focused work sessions and only check it during specific breaks. You'd be amazed at how much more you can accomplish when you stop letting social media steal your time. Next, let's talk about meetings. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of endless meetings. You've got one meeting after another, and before you know it, your whole day is gone. But let's be real, how many of those meetings are actually necessary? How many of them are productive? The truth is, many meetings are time wasters. They go on too long, they lack focus, or they're just not necessary in the first place. If you find yourself in meetings that don't contribute to your goals, it's time to start speaking up. You've got to be willing to ask, is this meeting really necessary? Or better yet, can we handle this in a quick email or phone call instead? Don't be afraid to protect your time. If a meeting isn't going to move you forward, politely decline or suggest an alternative. Every hour you spend in a meeting is an hour you could be spending working on the things that matter most to you. Another huge time waster is multitasking. It seems like multitasking should be a good thing, right? After all, you're getting more done in less time, right? But here's the problem: multitasking actually doesn't work the way you think it does. It makes you less efficient, not more. When you try to do multiple things at once, your brain has to constantly switch gears. That switching takes time, and it also leads to more mistakes and less focus. The result? You're not actually getting more done, you're just doing a bunch of things poorly. Instead of trying to do multiple things at once, focus on one task at a time. Prioritize what's most important and give that task your full attention. When you focus, you can get things done faster and with better quality. And here's the kicker: by focusing on one task at a time, you'll actually finish your work faster, giving you more time for other things. Now let's talk about something that's harder to admit: procrastination. It's easy to put things off. You don't feel like doing the hard stuff today, so you tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. But here's the thing, tomorrow never comes. You keep putting it off, and before you know it, that task is hanging over your head like a weight. It drains your energy and makes you feel stressed because you know it's still there, unfinished. Procrastination is one of the biggest time wasters because it keeps you stuck in the same place. It keeps you from moving forward. The longer you put something off, the harder it gets to get started. So what do you do about it? You've got to learn to take action, even if it's just a small step forward. Take that step today. Don't wait until tomorrow. The key is momentum. Once you start, it becomes easier to keep going, and before you know it, that big task is done. You've got the satisfaction of knowing you didn't waste time putting it off. Another time waster we can't ignore is poor planning. How many times have you started your day without a clear plan? You wake up and you just go through the motions. You don't have a strategy for what you need to accomplish, so you end up getting distracted by whatever comes your way. That's a recipe for wasted time. When you don't have a plan, your day controls you. But when you plan ahead, you take control of your time. You know exactly what you need to do, and you can stay focused on what matters. Here's the solution: make a plan for your day the night before. Take 10 or 15 minutes to organize your thoughts, make a to-do list, and prioritize what needs to be done. When you wake up the next day, you'll know exactly where to start and you won't waste time wondering what to do next. And let's not forget about one of the biggest time wasters of all, saying yes to everything. We've all been there. Someone asks for your time and you don't want to disappoint them, so you say yes, even though you don't really have the time. And then you're stuck doing something that doesn't move you closer to your goals. Saying yes to everything is a sure way to waste time. The solution? Learn to say no. Be selective about where you spend your time. When you say no to things that aren't aligned with your priorities, you free up time for what really matters. Don't be afraid to set boundaries. Your time is valuable and you have the right to protect it. Finally, let's talk about poor habits. Maybe you've got a habit of hitting the snooze button over and over in the morning. Or maybe you spend too much time on your phone before bed. These small habits add up over time and they can waste hours of your day. Look at your habits honestly. Are they helping you or holding you back? Are they moving you closer to your goals or just wasting your time? If it's the latter, it's time to change. You don't need to make huge changes all at once. Start small. Break one bad habit at a time and replace it with something better. Over time, those small changes will add up to big results. If you want to stop wasting time, you've got to take a good look at how you're spending it. Identify the everyday time wasters in your life and make a plan to eliminate them. Social media, meetings, multitasking, procrastination, poor planning, saying yes to everything, these are all things that can steal your time. But when you call them out and take action, you'll free up more time for what really matters. And that's when you'll start winning. 4. Set a time limit for tasks. One of the most powerful things you can do to stop wasting time and start winning is to set a time limit for every task you take on. I know it sounds simple, but trust me, this one habit can make all the difference. The idea is to put a time limit on every task you work on, no matter how big or small. This way, you stop procrastinating, stay focused, and get things done faster. Here's why setting time limits is so important. Without a time limit, tasks can drag on forever. You'll find yourself stuck in a never-ending loop of perfectionism, tweaking and adjusting, or simply getting distracted. The more time you have to do something, the longer it's going to take. And the longer it takes, the more your day gets eaten up by one task after another. But when you set a time limit, you create a sense of urgency. You know that once the clock hits that set time, you're moving on. You get to work faster, more efficiently, and with more focus. And the best part is, when you're done, you feel accomplished and ready to move on to the next task. It's all about momentum. So, let's dive into how you can start using time limits to your advantage. First, think about the tasks that you typically spend the most time on. These might be things that are important, but they also tend to drag on and steal your focus. For example, maybe you find yourself spending way too much time checking emails, answering messages, or working on reports. The key is to take those tasks and break them down into smaller, more manageable chunks. Now, set a specific amount of time for each chunk. Let's say you're working on an email inbox that's overflowing. Instead of sitting down and telling yourself, "I'll handle these emails later," give yourself 20 minutes. That's it. You'll be amazed at how much you can get done when you know you have a limited amount of time. You'll focus more, work faster, and feel accomplished when the 20 minutes are up. Once that time is up, stop. Move on to the next task. You can apply this to anything: phone calls, meetings, research, writing, or even things you do at home like cleaning or organizing. Set a time limit for each task, give yourself a clear boundary, and commit to getting it done in that time. This helps you avoid perfectionism and the temptation to spend way more time than necessary. You'll be forced to focus on what really matters and not get bogged down in the small stuff that doesn't move you forward. Let's talk about meetings for a second. How many times have you sat in a meeting that could have been wrapped up in 15 minutes, but ended up dragging on for over an hour? Time is precious, and if you're in charge of the meeting, make sure you set a strict time limit. Keep it short, keep it focused, and stick to the clock. If you're a participant, don't be afraid to politely suggest an end time. Meetings shouldn't be long, drawn-out affairs, they should be focused and efficient. When you stick to time limits, you respect everyone's time and keep things moving forward. But here's the thing: when you set time limits, don't overestimate what you can do in a short amount of time, and don't underestimate how much you can get done if you focus. Sometimes we think we need hours to get something done, but the truth is, most tasks can be accomplished in a lot less time if we stay focused. So, be realistic about how much time you need, but challenge yourself to work faster and with more focus than you normally would. Another key part of setting time limits is learning how to prioritize. If you have 5 tasks on your to-do list, which one should you start with? The one that's most urgent? The one that's easiest? The one that's most important? The truth is, you want to prioritize the tasks that are going to have the biggest impact on your goals. But here's the catch: no matter how big or small the task is, put a time limit on it. For example, let's say you need to work on a big project for work. Instead of saying, "I'll work on this until I'm done," break it into smaller parts and set a time limit for each. Work on the first part for 30 minutes, the second part for 20 minutes, and the next part for 15 minutes. This way, you're still getting the project done, but you're not wasting time overthinking or stressing about the details. You're moving forward, and that's what matters. One of the biggest benefits of setting time limits is the feeling of accomplishment when you finish. When you finish a task that you've put a time limit on, you feel like you've really done something. You didn't waste time, you didn't drag it out, you focused, worked hard, and knocked it out. That sense of accomplishment gives you momentum to keep going. Keep going, and before you know it, your entire day is productive, and you've made significant progress. Now, let's talk about the flip side. What happens if you don't stick to your time limits? If you find yourself constantly going over the time you've set, it's a sign that you need to take a step back and reevaluate. Are you being realistic with your time limits, or are you underestimating how long things really take? It's important to be honest with yourself. Sometimes it takes a little more time than you thought, and that's okay. The key is to adjust your time limits and keep improving. If you're finding yourself constantly running over, it could also be a sign of poor focus. Are you getting distracted? Are you procrastinating? If so, it's time to address the distraction. Set up an environment that supports your focus. Turn off notifications, close irrelevant tabs on your computer, and set yourself up for success. The more you eliminate distractions, the better you'll be at sticking to your time limits. Here's another trick: give yourself a little reward when you finish on time. It doesn't have to be anything big. Maybe it's a quick break, a cup of coffee, or just a moment to stretch and reset. The reward isn't just about the task, it's about training your brain to associate finishing on time with something positive. Over time, this will make sticking to your time limits easier and more natural. Remember, setting time limits isn't just about getting things done, it's about getting the right things done efficiently. When you're intentional with your time, you'll be amazed at how much more you can accomplish in a day. But it all starts with this simple habit: set a time limit, focus, and stick to it. So, here's your challenge. Tomorrow, start by setting a time limit for your tasks. Whether it's 20 minutes for emails, 30 minutes for a report, or 15 minutes for a meeting, set that time limit and make it happen. Focus, stay disciplined, and watch how much more you can accomplish in less time. Time is your most valuable resource. Use it wisely. Set your limits and start winning. Number 5, learn to say no. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. It may not sound like much, but trust me, it's a game changer. If you want to stop wasting time and start winning, you need to be able to say no without guilt, without hesitation, and without over-explaining yourself. Saying no is not about being rude or selfish, it's about protecting your time and focusing on what truly matters to you. We live in a world that constantly pulls us in every direction. People ask for your time, your energy, your resources. Sometimes they don't even ask, they just expect. And it's so easy to fall into the trap of saying yes because you don't want to disappoint anyone, or you're afraid of missing out, or maybe you just want to be liked. But here's the truth: when you say yes to everything, you're actually saying no to yourself. You're saying no to your goals, your dreams, and the things that really matter to you. Now, I know it's not always easy to say no. We've all been there. Someone asks for your help, and you feel obligated to say yes. Or maybe someone invites you to an event, and you don't want to hurt their feelings by turning them down. But here's the thing: every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're taking time away from the things that do matter. And in the end, that time is something you'll never get back. So, how do you learn to say no without feeling guilty? The first step is to recognize that your time is valuable. You don't have unlimited time, and you need to protect it. When someone asks for your time, ask yourself if it's a good use of that time. Does it align with your goals? Does it help you move forward? If the answer is no, then it's okay to say no. In fact, it's necessary. You can't afford to say yes to everything and still expect to accomplish the things that are truly important to you. Here's the truth: when you say yes to something, you're also saying no to something else. You're saying no to your personal time, your work, your health, your relationships, and your dreams. If you're constantly saying yes to things that don't help you move forward, you're going to find yourself stuck. You'll be busy, but you won't be productive. You'll be reacting to other people's demands instead of proactively working on what matters to you. It's important to remember that saying no doesn't mean you're being unkind or selfish. It's not about rejecting people or being rude, it's about setting boundaries and taking care of yourself. When you say no, you're making space for the things that are important to you. You're honoring your time, your energy, and your goals. One of the biggest obstacles people face when it comes to saying no is the fear of letting people down. You don't want to disappoint others, so you agree to do things you don't really want to do. But here's the thing: when you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting the other person down too. You'll show up, but you won't be fully present. You won't give your best effort, and that's not fair to anyone. On the other hand, when you say no, you're being honest. You're being upfront about your limits, and you're respecting both your time and theirs. It's much better to say no and be clear about your priorities than to say yes out of obligation and then end up resenting it later. Another challenge people face is the fear of missing out. We've all been there. We're invited to something or asked to join a project, and we don't want to miss out on an opportunity. But here's the reality: you can't do everything, and you shouldn't try to. Saying no isn't about missing out, it's about being strategic with your time. It's about making choices that are aligned with your long-term goals rather than getting distracted by every shiny new thing that comes your way. So, how do you get comfortable with saying no? It starts with practice. The more you practice saying no, the easier it gets. You don't have to be harsh about it. You don't have to give a long explanation. Sometimes a simple "I'm sorry, I can't" is all it takes. If you feel the need to explain, keep it short and simple. You don't owe anyone a long, drawn-out reason. Your time is yours, and you get to decide how to spend it. Another tip is to have a go-to response ready. If you're in a situation where you're tempted to say yes, have a polite but firm response prepared. For example, you could say, "I'm really focusing on my goals right now, so I'm going to have to pass on this," or, "I'm not able to commit to that at the moment, but I appreciate you thinking of me." By having a response ready, you won't feel caught off guard, and it'll be easier to say no in the moment. It's also helpful to set boundaries in advance. If you know you're going to be asked to take on a new project, a new task, or a new commitment, decide ahead of time whether or not you're going to say yes. When you have clear boundaries, it becomes easier to stick to them. When the time comes, you won't feel as tempted to say yes out of guilt or obligation because you've already made the decision that your time is too valuable to waste. One thing you can do is prioritize your goals. When you know what you want to achieve, it becomes much easier to say no to anything that doesn't help you get closer to those goals. Your goals are your guideposts. They help you stay focused and avoid distractions. When you're clear on your priorities, saying no becomes a natural part of staying on track. Let's talk about something else, energy. It's not just about time, it's about energy. Sometimes saying yes to something drains you more than you realize. Even if you have the time to do something, it might not be worth it if it's going to drain your energy. Think about the things that energize you and the things that drain you. When you say yes to things that drain your energy, you're not just losing time, you're losing the drive and motivation to work on the things that matter most to you. So, make sure you're saying yes to the things that will energize you and move you forward, and saying no to the things that will leave you exhausted and distracted. Finally, I want to remind you that saying no is an act of self-care. It's about taking care of your time, your energy, and your mental space. When you say no, you're protecting your future self. You're creating the space you need to focus on your most important goals. And the more you practice saying no, the easier it will get. In time, you'll start to realize that saying no is not just a tool for protecting your time, it's a tool for creating the life you want. Number 6, use the power of small wins. The power of small wins is often overlooked, but it's one of the most important strategies for building momentum, staying motivated, and ultimately achieving your bigger goals. You see, many of us get caught up in thinking that we need huge, monumental success to make progress. We think that we have to land that big deal, win that major award, or hit that giant milestone before we can celebrate or feel good about ourselves. But here's the truth, small wins matter more than you realize. They're the building blocks that lead to big success. If you want to stop wasting time and start winning, you need to tap into the power of small wins. These are the little victories that you achieve every day. They don't have to be huge. They don't have to change the world overnight. But they're the steps that move you forward. They're the actions that, over time, add up to something much bigger than you might expect. Let me ask you this, how do you feel when you accomplish something, no matter how small it is? Maybe you finally finish that task you've been avoiding, or you cross something off your to-do list, or you reach a small milestone toward your bigger goal. How do you feel in that moment? You feel good, right? You feel a sense of accomplishment, pride, and momentum. That's the magic of small wins. They give you a boost, they build your confidence, and they give you the energy to keep going. Think about it, if you wait for big wins before you celebrate, you might find yourself waiting a long time. Big wins don't happen every day, and they don't happen on your timeline. But small wins? You can experience them every single day. They're within your control, and they can happen all the time. When you focus on those small wins, you create a positive cycle. Each win, no matter how small, feeds into the next one. You gain confidence, motivation, and clarity about what you're capable of, and that keeps you moving forward. Here's the thing, you don't have to wait for something big to happen before you can feel proud of yourself. Every little step you take is a victory. Maybe it's getting up early to start your day, knocking out a task you've been procrastinating on, or having a productive conversation with someone you've been avoiding. These are all wins. And when you start to recognize them, you'll see how much more you're accomplishing than you thought. This is where most people fall short. They get discouraged because they're focused on the big picture and they feel like they're not making enough progress. But the truth is, it's the small wins that get you to the big wins. Think about it like climbing a ladder. Every small step is one more rung on the ladder. You can't skip steps to get to the top, but every step counts. The more you focus on taking those small steps, the closer you get to your bigger goals. Small wins are also a great way to stay on track when things get tough. When you're working toward a big goal, there will be times when it feels like you're not making progress or you're not getting anywhere. That's when small wins become crucial. When you can look at the little victories you've achieved, you remind yourself that you are making progress. Maybe it's not as fast as you'd like, but it's still progress. And that's something to celebrate. Another great thing about small wins is that they create positive feedback loops. When you win, even in small ways, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good hormone. This boosts your mood and reinforces the habit. The more you experience small wins, the more you'll want to keep going. You'll start to crave that feeling of accomplishment, and that will push you to take action. It becomes easier to stay motivated and focused when you know that every little step you take will lead to another win. Let's talk about how you can start using the power of small wins in your daily life. The first step is to set yourself up for success by breaking down your big goals into smaller, more manageable tasks. This way, you're not overwhelmed by the enormity of your goals. Instead, you can focus on what you can do today. And when you accomplish that task, celebrate it. It doesn't have to be a huge celebration, but take a moment to recognize that you've made progress. Whether it's finishing a chapter of a book, sending an important email, or making a phone call you've been putting off, that's a win. The key is to make your small wins specific and measurable. Instead of saying, "I'm going to work on my goals today," say, "I'm going to finish writing that blog post," or "I'm going to spend 30 minutes working on my fitness." These small, actionable goals are easier to accomplish and give you that sense of satisfaction when you finish. Each time you complete a task, it's a win. And when you stack these wins up, you're making real progress toward your bigger goals. It's also important to recognize that small wins can be the result of effort, but also of consistency. Sometimes it's not about how much you do in one day, it's about showing up every day and making steady progress. For example, if you're trying to get in shape, you might not see huge results after one workout, but if you stay consistent, if you keep showing up every day, those small efforts will add up, and eventually, you'll see big changes. The small wins come from the daily choices you make, and over time, those small choices will compound and create the results you want. Another way to use small wins to your advantage is by creating routines. When you establish a daily routine, you set yourself up for small wins right from the start. Maybe it's a morning routine where you knock out a few quick tasks that make you feel productive. Maybe it's a work routine where you start by tackling the most important task of the day. Routines create structure, and structure makes it easier to experience small wins because you're consistently moving forward. The more you build these small wins into your daily life, the more natural it will feel to keep going. But here's the secret: don't get too attached to the outcome. It's not just about getting the task done, it's about the process. When you focus on the process, the wins become a natural part of the journey. And as you accumulate these small wins, they create the confidence and energy you need to keep pushing forward, even when things get tough. Small wins also help you stay grounded. When you're working on big goals, it's easy to get distracted by the big picture and forget about the small victories along the way. But those small wins are the things that keep you grounded and remind you that you're on the right track. They reinforce the idea that you're capable and that progress is happening every day, even if it's not as fast as you'd like. Today, start looking for small wins. Break down your big goals into smaller tasks and celebrate each step you take toward those goals. Whether it's a tiny task or a bigger accomplishment, recognize it as a win. Focus on the process, stay consistent, and keep building those wins every day. Over time, you'll find that the small wins add up to big success. And when that happens, you'll realize that those small wins were the key all along. Number 7. If you're going to stop wasting time and start winning, you have to be willing to look at the things that are holding you back. You have to face the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Many people go through life blind to their own obstacles. They blame external circumstances, other people, or bad luck. But here's the harsh reality: the biggest problem is usually you. Once you recognize that, you've taken the first step towards solving it. The truth is, most people aren't aware of the things they're doing or not doing that are wasting their time. They get caught in a routine. They follow the same old patterns and they wonder why they're not moving forward. But in order to truly make a change, you have to stop, take a step back, and look at where you're stuck. Take a hard look at your life. Are you making the progress you want? Are you where you thought you'd be by now? Or are you in the same place you were last year, or the year before that? If you're not where you want to be, the first step is to recognize why. What's the problem? The problem might not always be obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. Maybe you've been procrastinating. Maybe you've been focusing on things that aren't helping you move forward. Or maybe you're stuck in a comfort zone and you're not pushing yourself to take action. Whatever it is, you need to be honest with yourself about it. When you can pinpoint the problem, you're in a much better position to do something about it. You see, when you recognize the problem, you take the power back. You stop blaming external factors and start looking at what you can change. Maybe it's your habits, your mindset, your environment, or your daily routine. Whatever the problem is, it's something within your control. And once you recognize that, you can start making adjustments. This is where so many people go wrong. They don't recognize the problem. They just keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. But if you keep making the same mistakes and never stop to figure out what's causing them, you're just going in circles. Recognizing the problem is like shining a light on the dark spots of your life. Once you see it, you can deal with it. But if you keep ignoring it, it will keep holding you back. Let's talk about some of the common problems people face when it comes to time management and productivity. One of the biggest problems is distraction. We live in a world full of distractions. Our phones are constantly buzzing, social media is a click away, and there are a million things demanding our attention. But here's the thing: if you're constantly distracted, you're never going to get anything meaningful done. And it's not just about the big distractions, it's also about the small ones. The constant checking of emails, the random thoughts that pop into your head, the distractions that break your focus every few minutes. All of these things add up, and before you know it, hours have gone by without you accomplishing anything. Another big problem is lack of focus. A lot of people start the day with good intentions, but they get sidetracked. They jump from one task to another without ever finishing anything. They start working on a project, then get distracted by something else, then another thing, and they never see the task through to completion. Without focus, nothing gets done. You need to learn how to stay focused on the task at hand and avoid jumping from one thing to the next. Focus is what allows you to make real progress. Then there's the problem of procrastination. We've all been there, putting things off until tomorrow, until next week, or until we feel ready. But the truth is, you're never going to feel ready. Procrastination is a form of resistance, and it's one of the biggest obstacles to getting things done. The longer you put something off, the harder it becomes. The more you avoid the task, the more overwhelmed you feel. But when you finally face it head-on, it's not as bad as you thought. Recognizing procrastination for what it is, fear or avoidance, and taking action anyway is a powerful step in overcoming it. Another common problem is lack of planning. If you're not planning your day, your week, or your month, you're flying blind. Without a plan, you're just reacting to whatever comes your way. You're allowing the world to dictate your schedule instead of taking control of it. Planning gives you direction. It tells you what you need to focus on and when. Without it, you end up wasting time on things that aren't important, and you never make real progress on the things that matter. There's also the issue of poor time management. Many people don't realize how much time they waste on things that don't contribute to their goals. They spend hours scrolling through social media, watching TV, or getting lost in unproductive activities. The problem is that time is the one thing you can't get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. If you want to stop wasting time, you have to recognize how you're spending it. If you're spending your time on things that don't move you closer to your goals, it's time to change that. Let me also point out that a lack of accountability is another problem that can hold you back. When you don't have anyone holding you accountable, it's easy to let things slide. It's easy to say, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'll get to it later." But when you have someone to check in with, someone to ask, "Did you do what you said you were going to do?" it forces you to take your goals seriously. Accountability keeps you on track and helps you recognize when you're falling off course. Once you've recognized the problem, the next step is to take responsibility for it. That means not blaming others, not making excuses, and not pretending like it's not a big deal. When you take responsibility, you're empowering yourself to make a change. You're saying, "I'm in control of this, and I can fix it." Now, I know this isn't easy. Recognizing the problem can be uncomfortable. It requires you to face some hard truths about yourself. But that's the only way to grow. The sooner you recognize the problem, the sooner you can solve it. And the sooner you solve it, the sooner you'll start winning. I want you to think about one area of your life where you're feeling stuck. Maybe it's your work, your health, your relationships, or your time management. What's the problem there? What's really going on? Take a moment to be honest with yourself. Acknowledge it. Recognize it. That's the first step toward moving forward. Once you can clearly see what's holding you back, you can start taking action to fix it. And that's when things will start to change. Number 8, use your extra minutes. When it comes to winning, it's not always about making huge time sacrifices or spending hours on end working toward your goals. In fact, one of the most effective ways to stop wasting time and start making real progress is by using your extra minutes. You see, time is the most valuable thing we have, and sometimes we overlook the small pockets of time we have throughout the day. But those extra minutes, they add up. Most people go through their day thinking they need to carve out big blocks of time to be productive. And while that's definitely important, what's even more important is recognizing that even small pockets of time can make a huge difference. Think about it, you might have 10, 15, or 30 minutes of free time during the day. What are you doing with that time? Are you checking social media, scrolling through your phone, or zoning out? Or are you using those minutes to move closer to your goals? The truth is, those extra minutes can be a gold mine if you learn how to use them wisely. They can help you accomplish a lot more than you think. The key is to recognize that those minutes aren't insignificant. In fact, when you add up all the extra time you have during the day, it can equal hours of productive work. Let's break it down. Think about your daily routine. How often do you find yourself waiting for something? Waiting for a meeting to start, waiting in line at the store, waiting for a phone call. Those are all extra minutes. What are you doing during those waiting periods? Are you wasting them, or are you using them to your advantage? The truth is, most of us don't realize how much extra time we have in a day. Sitting in traffic or even waiting for your coffee to brew, those moments of waiting are moments you can use. You can work on something that matters to you. It could be reading a few pages of a book or listening to an inspiring podcast. You could also jot down some notes for a project or simply reflect on your goals. When you start recognizing and using these extra minutes productively, you'll be amazed at how much you can get done. Think about how many minutes you have each day that go to waste. Maybe it's the time you spend scrolling through social media or checking your email for the 100th time. Now, imagine using just a small fraction of those minutes to focus on something that moves you forward. It might be just 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there. But when you add it all up, you're looking at a substantial amount of time. It's like finding money in your pocket that you didn't even realize was there. Now that you do, you can use it to your advantage. Let's put it into perspective. If you use 10 extra minutes a day to read, by the end of the week that's an hour of learning. In a month, that's 4 hours. Over the course of a year, that's 48 hours of reading, learning, and growing. Imagine the knowledge and insight you could gain with 48 hours of reading. The same goes for any other goal you might have. If you use your extra minutes to work on a project, practice a skill, or plan your next steps, those small actions add up over time. One of the best ways to start using your extra minutes is by being intentional about it. Don't just wait for free time to appear, create it. Look at your daily routine and find those moments where you can take action. Are there things you can stop doing or cut back on? Can you reduce the time you spend on distractions? Even just eliminating a few minutes here and there can free up time for things that matter. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through your phone during your lunch break, you could read a few pages of a book or work on a project that excites you. Instead of letting your mind wander during a waiting period, you could jot down ideas for your next move or reflect on your goals. Another great strategy is to set mini-goals for your extra minutes. For example, let's say you have 10 minutes between meetings or before you head out the door. Instead of just wasting that time, set a small goal. Maybe it's writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Maybe it's brainstorming ideas for your next big project. Or maybe it's reading a chapter from a book that's going to help you grow. These mini-goals give you a sense of purpose for your extra minutes. They help you stay focused on what matters. You don't have to wait for big blocks of time to make progress. In fact, some of the most successful people are the ones who master the art of using their extra minutes. They know that success doesn't come from doing everything at once. It comes from consistently making the most of the time you have. When you use your extra minutes wisely, you're building the habit of being productive, focused, and intentional with your time. Let's also talk about the importance of consistency here. It's not about making huge changes overnight. It's about making small, consistent choices every day. If you use just 15 extra minutes each day to work on your goals, that adds up to over 90 hours in a year. That's like working a full-time job for almost 2 weeks, just by using the extra time you have each day. Imagine the progress you'd make if you did that consistently over the course of a year. Here's the deal, time is going to pass no matter what. The question is, how are you going to use it? Will you let those extra minutes slip away, or will you take control and use them to your advantage? The choice is yours. But if you want to stop wasting time and start winning, you've got to make the most of every minute. Now, I want you to think about your own life. Where are your extra minutes? When are you waiting for something? Or when do you find yourself with a little bit of free time? How can you use that time to work towards your goals? It could be as simple as taking 5 minutes to plan your next steps, reading something that inspires you, or practicing a new skill. The more you use your extra minutes for things that matter, the more you'll accomplish, and the closer you'll get to your big goals. So, today, start being intentional about your time. Look for those extra minutes and use them wisely. Turn those pockets of free time into opportunities for growth. Recognize that those extra minutes aren't just extra, they're your opportunity to move forward, to learn, and to achieve. When you make the most of your extra minutes, you're setting yourself up for success. You're creating the habits that will take you where you want to go. So start today, don't wait. Use your extra minutes to your advantage and watch how much you can achieve. Let's get real for a moment. You've heard all the advice. You've read the books. You've listened to the talks. But at the end of the day, none of it matters if you don't take action. I can sit here and tell you about time management, about how to stop wasting time and start winning. But if you don't make a move today, none of it matters. So here's the challenge, start today. There's no perfect time to begin. We often convince ourselves that tomorrow is the right time to start. Tomorrow, when we have more energy, more focus, or when the stars align. But the truth is, tomorrow is always just out of reach. Before you know it, another day, another week, another month has passed, and you're still in the same place you were yesterday. You've got to stop waiting for the perfect moment because it doesn't exist. The perfect moment is the one you create by starting right now. Now, I know it's easy to put things off. Maybe you're thinking, I'll start tomorrow when I feel more motivated, or I'll get to it next week when I have more time. But here's the thing, you don't need to wait for the perfect circumstances. You need to create momentum by starting where you are, with what you have, and making progress in the right direction. Think about how many times you've told yourself, I'll start next week, or I'll start after this thing is done. The problem is that mindset keeps you stuck in the cycle of never taking action. And that cycle will continue until you decide to break it. But here's the good news, you don't need a huge amount of time, energy, or even a grand plan to begin. All you need is the decision to take that first step. The key is to start now. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about saying enough is enough and making today the day that you begin. You don't have to figure everything out at once. You don't have to have all the answers. The point is, you've got to make a start. If you keep waiting for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. But if you start today, even with small steps, you'll be building momentum. And once you have momentum, things start to shift. You begin to make progress, and before you know it, you're moving forward faster than you ever thought possible. It doesn't matter if you've been procrastinating for weeks, months, or even years. Starting today is what breaks the pattern. There's no magic moment when everything falls into place. What matters is your willingness to act now. It's about making that commitment to yourself that you're going to stop waiting for the right conditions and take responsibility for your own success. Every successful person you admire, whether they're an entrepreneur, athlete, artist, or anyone else who's made it, they all started with one simple decision. They decided to start. They decided that today was the day they would begin. And you can do the same. But you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you're never going to move. The most successful people aren't the ones who waited for the perfect time to act. They're the ones who did something even when they didn't feel ready. They took imperfect action. They learned as they went. They made mistakes, picked themselves up, and kept moving forward. That's the secret. Action, even small action, will always be better than sitting on the sidelines waiting for the right moment. Here's a simple way to get started. Take out a piece of paper or grab your phone and write down one thing you can do today to move closer to your goal. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be as simple as setting a plan for the day, making a phone call, writing down your thoughts, or reading something that's going to help you grow. The goal is to get started, no matter how small it seems. Maybe your goal is to be more productive with your time. Well, today, start by planning out 1 hour of focused work, free of distractions. Maybe you've been putting off a project. Today, commit to spending just 15 minutes on it. It's not about doing everything all at once, it's about taking that first step and building momentum from there. It's about making progress today, not waiting for tomorrow. Now, let me ask you, what's stopping you from starting today? What's really holding you back? Fear? Doubt? The feeling that you don't have enough time or energy? Well, here's the truth, those are all just excuses. Every time you put something off, you're letting those excuses win. But today, you can choose differently. You can choose to take that first step, no matter how small, and start building momentum towards your goals. You can choose to stop waiting and start doing. Here's what I want you to do right now. Decide what your first step is going to be. Don't wait for the perfect time or the right feeling. Just decide and take action. It could be as simple as writing down your goal, scheduling a meeting, or even just taking a few minutes to organize your thoughts. Once you take that first step, you'll begin to see the power of action. It's like turning the key in the ignition. Once the engine starts, the car begins to move. Now, I know you might be thinking, but I don't know if I'm ready. Here's the thing, you don't need to be 100% ready to start. You just need to take that first step. You don't need to know all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. And once you start, you'll figure it out as you go. You'll learn, you'll adapt, and you'll grow. But it all starts with that first decision to start today. Remember this, the only time you have is now. Waiting for the right time is just another form of procrastination. The future is uncertain, and tomorrow is never guaranteed. What you have is today, and what you do with today is what will determine where you end up. So don't wait. Start now. Make today the day that everything changes. Take that first step and watch how the momentum builds. Don't look back. Don't second-guess yourself. You've got this. Here's a truth that a lot of people overlook when it comes to achieving goals. Rewarding yourself for progress isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a crucial part of the process. Think about it. We're often so focused on the finish line, the end result, the big goal, that we forget to celebrate the small wins along the way. But if you're serious about making real progress and staying motivated, rewarding yourself for each step forward is essential. It's a simple but powerful way to keep your momentum going, to remind yourself that you're on the right track, and to build positive habits. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might feel like you don't deserve a reward until you've reached the ultimate goal. But that kind of thinking can actually slow you down. If you're only rewarding yourself when you've hit the final milestone, you're missing out on the opportunities to reinforce the small victories you're having every day. Every small win is a step towards your bigger goal, and every step deserves to be recognized. So, how do you reward yourself for progress? It doesn't have to be something big or expensive. It's not about buying yourself a holiday or going on a shopping spree every time you check something off your to-do list. It's about finding simple ways to acknowledge the effort you're putting in. It's about celebrating the progress, no matter how small, so that you stay motivated and excited to keep going. Let's break this down with an example. Let's say you're working on a big project. Maybe you've been putting in long hours, staying focused, and making progress each day. Instead of waiting until the entire project is done, why not take a moment to reward yourself when you hit a smaller milestone? Maybe you've completed a certain task or finished a section of the work. That's progress, and it deserves recognition. You might treat yourself to a nice lunch, take a short break to watch your favorite show, or simply take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. These small rewards help to keep your energy high and your mindset positive. Rewards don't always have to be material. It can be something as simple as taking a walk to clear your mind or spending time with friends or family. It's about creating moments of joy that remind you that you're moving forward. The point is, when you recognize and reward your progress, you're reinforcing the idea that progress is something to be celebrated, not just the destination. Another reason rewarding yourself for progress is so important is that it helps build momentum. When you reward yourself, you're giving yourself a positive feedback loop. Every time you complete a task, big or small, you feel good about it. And that feeling of accomplishment fuels you to take the next step. The more you reward yourself, the more you start to associate effort and progress with positive emotions. It becomes a cycle of motivation. You keep working, you keep progressing, and you keep rewarding yourself for it. This cycle is what leads to lasting success. Think about it this way, we're all motivated by different things. Some people are driven by external rewards, like recognition or money. Others are motivated by the internal satisfaction of achieving something meaningful. But regardless of what motivates you, rewarding yourself creates a connection between the effort you put in and the reward you receive. This connection is what makes the work feel worth it. It keeps you going, especially when things get tough or when you're feeling discouraged. Rewards remind you that progress is happening, and that's the fuel you need to keep pushing forward. One thing to keep in mind is that rewards should feel deserved. If you're constantly rewarding yourself for small things that don't require much effort, you might start to lose the sense of achievement. The key is to make sure that your rewards are tied to meaningful progress. They should be a reflection of the effort you've put in, not just a way to escape from the work. When you achieve something, big or small, take a moment to appreciate the effort that went into it. That appreciation will help keep your mindset focused on growth and improvement. For example, if you've been working out regularly and you've reached a milestone like running a certain distance or lifting a new weight, give yourself a reward. It could be a relaxing evening, a nice treat, or something that helps you recharge. By doing this, you're acknowledging the progress you've made, and you're showing yourself that hard work pays off. It's not about being indulgent, it's about giving yourself permission to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And don't forget, rewarding yourself for progress also helps to build a healthy relationship with your work. If all you do is work without ever taking time to appreciate your efforts, you might start to burn out. That's why it's important to balance hard work with rewards. It's okay to take breaks, enjoy life, and celebrate what you've accomplished. Life is not just about achieving goals, it's about enjoying the process and finding fulfillment along the way. Rewards are one way to make sure you don't lose sight of that. You can also get creative with how you reward yourself. It's not always about taking a break or treating yourself to something. Sometimes the reward is simply giving yourself credit for the work you've done. Take a moment to look at what you've accomplished. Reflect on how far you've come and recognize your effort. This mental reward is just as important as any physical one because it reinforces the belief that you're capable and that progress is happening. And here's an important point: rewards should help you stay on track. They should encourage you to continue working towards your bigger goals. Don't let your rewards distract you from your focus or become a way to avoid the work. The key is to use them as a tool to celebrate and motivate, not as an excuse to stop progressing. Every time you hit a milestone, reward yourself, but always remember that the reward is a celebration of what's to come next. In the end, rewarding yourself for progress is a simple but powerful strategy to help you stay motivated, build momentum, and make your journey towards success a little bit more enjoyable. It's not about being perfect, but about taking consistent action and recognizing the effort it takes to move forward. So start rewarding yourself today. Whether it's a small break, a moment of reflection, or a tangible reward, take the time to appreciate how far you've come. Celebrate every win, no matter how small, and use that energy to keep pushing forward. Your progress matters, and it's worth celebrating. So there you have it, 5 simple steps to stop wasting time and start winning. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about making progress. Small steps lead to big results, and by taking control of your time, you're setting yourself up for success. Now, I want you to take action. Don't wait until tomorrow, start today and keep moving forward, one step at a time. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, because each step brings you closer to your goals. If this video helped you, make sure to hit the like button and share it with someone who could use a little extra motivation. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, because your best days are ahead of you. Keep pushing forward and I'll see you in the next one.